Hi guys, today we're going to talk about the different forms of linear equations. So there's three different forms: your slope-intercept, your point-slope, and your standard. The first two are going to be the most important. Not saying that standard's not important, but you will use slope-intercept and point-slope the most. So let's take a look at our first form, slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is your y equals mx plus b. So with this, you got to understand what the m and the b are. You already know that m is your slope. Right, you've studied slope, you know how to find slope from a graph and from an equation. So m stands for slope. Your b is your y-intercept. So you understand now how they get the word slope-intercept form. If you're in slope-intercept form, you can quickly identify the slope and you can quickly identify the y-intercept. So if I look at problem 1 here, if I say that y equals 3x plus 7, right from this equation I can identify what my slope is. Alright, well that's easy. M is 3, or my slope is 3 over 1. And then b, or your y-intercept, is 7. So what that y-intercept means is that your graph will cross the y-axis at 7. Alright, let's look at problem 2. Okay, so problem 2 says, what if y equals 7, let's go negative 7, minus 2x. Again, we want to make sure it's in y equals mx plus b. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to y equals negative 2x minus 7. So then I can see that my slope is negative 2 and my y-intercept is negative 7. Let's look at one more example. We'll call that number 3. What if I have y minus 5 equals 2/3 x? Well, right away you should notice that that's not in y equals mx plus b form. So you want to make sure that we add 5 to both sides. So then you have y equals 2/3 x plus 5. Well, from here, my slope is 2/3, it's the value in front of x. And my y-intercept, or where the graph will cross the y-axis, is at positive 5. The second form that we're going to look at today is something called point-slope. So I'm just going to write out point-slope form for you. And here it is. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the reason we get point-slope is that because, again, you're going to have two things in here. M stands for your slope from what you've learned before. And now you see something with this x1 and this y1. So x1 comma y1 is your point. Hence, that's why you get point-slope. So when you look at this equation, you have, in order to use it, you must have a slope and an x1, y1 point. So let's say that I gave you the equation. I believe we're on number 4 now. So let's say I gave you the equation y minus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 6. Okay, so right here we're in point-slope. I see that my slope is 1/2 and I have the point 6, 3. Well, let's say I wanted to start with this point-slope and I want to put it in slope-intercept. In other words, y equals mx plus b. So what we're going to do is change from point-slope to slope-intercept. So your first step, distribute. Y minus 3 equals 1/2 x. Now 1/2 times 6, or 1/2 of 6, is minus 3. Well, I'm almost there. I see I have an mx. I see I could have an intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and get y by itself. So when I get y by itself, I get y equals 1/2 x, and then negative 3 and 3 give you 0. So from here, you can say that your slope is 1/2 and your y-intercept is 0. All right, now let's look at an example. So we'll call this guy number 5. Okay, and with this, it's asking us to find the equation of the line with a slope of 1/2 that goes to the point -2, 6. All right, so what are the two things you have? You've got a slope of m, and you have a x1, y1, or a point. So this tells us that we need to use our point slope form. So to remind you of point slope form, that's going to be your y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so what we're going to do is just substitute in. So y minus y1 will be y minus 6, m is 1/2, and then x minus x1, so that will be x minus -2. Right away I'm going to go ahead and change that to x plus 2, because you know that two negatives make a positive. Okay, so right away if it says put it in point slope form, you're done. That's point slope form right there. However, if it says put it in slope-intercept form, we're going to go ahead and get y equals mx plus b, or in other words, solve for y. So y minus 6 equals 1/2 x. Half of 2 is just 1, so it would be 1/2 x plus 1. Now I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So y equals 1/2 x plus 7. And then this form here is your slope-intercept form, where y equals mx plus b, m is 1/2, and my y-intercept is 7. Let's look at another example. We'll call this guy number 6. So it says find the equation of the line that passes through the points 1, -2, and 2, 4. Well, if you look at this problem, I don't have a slope and a y-intercept. I don't have a point or a slope. However, we know that if I'm given 2 points like I am here, I can find my slope. So to find slope, again, I'll remind you, it's m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, substitute in what you know. We'll go 4 minus -2. And then on the bottom, x2 is 2 minus -1. Go ahead and change your double negatives to positives. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. 6 over 3 then gives you a slope of 2. From here, you now have your slope, and you actually have 2 points. So pick whatever point you want. I prefer to pick things that are positive, so I'm going to go with this second point here. And I'm going to substitute this into my point slope form. So to recall, point slope is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So to substitute in, we have y minus 4 equals my slope of 2, and then x minus my x point, which is 2. If it said put it in point slope form, you're done. However, we like things in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to go ahead and solve for y. So y minus 4 equals 2x minus 4. Now if I add 4 to both sides, I get y equals 2x. And that is your slope-intercept form, with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 0. Alright, we did it. Our last form now, standard form. So this is going to look like ax plus by equals c. Okay, a, b, and c are all numbers. So let's look at an example. We have 2x plus 3y equals 18. This is what standard form will look like. A is 2, b is 3, and your c is 18. Okay, we can graph from standard form, but we're not going to worry about graphing right now. So what I want to do is, can we manipulate or change this equation to make it look like slope-intercept form? And I know you can, so we are going to solve for y. So we want to get y all by itself. So when I do that, I'm going to subtract this 2x. That's gone. So 3y equals negative 2x plus 18. I chose to put the negative 2x first because in slope-intercept form, it's always mx plus b. So your negative 2x represents your mx. Divide by everything by 3, because I want to get y by itself. I then have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 18 over 3 gives you 6. And now you are in slope-intercept form. So the important thing about today's lesson is that you've got 3 different forms: standard, point slope, and slope-intercept. Can you go back and forth between them? Can you solve it and put it in slope-intercept form is really the big thing from this lesson. So you want to be able to solve equations and put it into y equals mx plus b form.